Hi, and welcome. I'm Sam Price, the Crypto Lifer, and every single Friday afternoon, I give you a macro analysis of Bitcoin. Total 3, Bitcoin dominance, US Tether dominance, the DXY, the NQ, the S&P, and if I see a bonus or something else that I want to show you, I will break that down for you as well. Let's break it down. Let's have some fun. Let's look at Bitcoin on the weekly. Nasty weekly drop. Let's see what happened from the last week that I was discussing. So if you were with me last week, we talked about this being a strong support zone for Bitcoin right here on the weekly. And we said, I don't want to see a weekly candle close below this key support. We did get it. We were below it earlier today, but we did get wicked right back up. As long as the weekly closes above this line, I stay bullish. All right. That level is 41,000, I believe. Let's see where we opened. 41,360. It keeps sitting in my mind. 41,000. So I would keep that in your mind. If you do not see a weekly candle close below 41,360, I would not stress that we're going to have more bearishness. If a candle closes below that, we're likely coming down to hit 37,750 area and maybe even, reacting with this 21-day moving average. I do also have an idea that we are going to have to come down and tussle and touch the 21-day moving average. If you look here, we have a fair value gap and we have a fair value gap, 2 fair value gaps. There's also a CME gap right here waiting for us too as well, which is quite coincidental that we may go further to the downside. We also, though, have a golden cross. And we talked about how on the 5-day, the 21 was crossing the 200, which was a very bullish cross as well. As long as we don't lose that level, Bitcoin could continue to make a flag on the weekly and then reset on the Stokes and continue to go to the upside. As the Stokes reset and the weekly goes sideways, that is actually creating some bullishness. It's creating a sentiment that there's a lot more pressure. The algos are buying up into the zone. So very interesting idea at our hand. So the bullet scenarios, we never actually close a weekly candle below 41,360. This is all chop upside and down. We end up getting a move back up, back down. We go sideways. And maybe a month from now or 5 or 6 weekly candles at the most. And then eventually this flag breaks back out and we continue on the measured move somewhere in, March into April, all the way to a high of about $62,000. So that's on the table. That's possible. And that's just something that, we're looking at. All right. I'm not saying that's going to happen. The weekly would never have to close a weekly candle below this previous support line. All right. What's more plausible is we do look at the 5-day. We did get oversold and got lower, but we're still away from the 21-day moving average. We're looking for if, price action can get out of the smaller falling wedge that we have made here. So this is the smaller falling wedge that Bitcoin's been in. And it is a falling wedge. I've seen them, break out this way. Even though they break out and they break back inside, I still see the wedges get respected. However, we did lose the 200 SMA, and then we tussled with the 200 SMA on the 8-hour. Today, we're attempting to get back above. We must close this candle back above the 8-hour 200 SMA. If we end up below it, we're going down to the 12-hour 200 SMA, and that's a low, and closing that fair value gap and coming back down to 38,000. Everybody in the world wants $38,000 Bitcoin. Everyone wants cheaper Bitcoin. People usually don't get what they want. I was buying right here. The people with a lot of conviction and that really care, they're buying no matter what. So definitely a good place to be getting into Bitcoin at the present moment, in my humble opinion. And even on the 12-hour, you're starting to see this kind of form as a bit of a bullish div. I mean, that's flatter and that's sharper, which tells us we should get a bounce back to the upside. I wouldn't be surprised if we got this measured move for Bitcoin back up here and we actually even tussled with possibly $46,500 area and we broke back up. So everyone's super bearish, like it's all downhill. But as long as we stay on this, as long as we keep that 41,360 area as support, we can't go any lower. The second we break below that, and I see 4 or 5 hour, and I'd be looking for a weekly specifically for confirmation, but the second we see candles start breaking below that, I'd be looking for a bear flag for a move further to the downside. So right now, Bitcoin has some indecision for sure, right? If we look at the daily's oversold, and it says, hey, we need a bounce after multiple days of a sell-off, right? And and we got some bullish divergence on some time frames that matter. And the weekly doesn't look too bad, but it may have to close this gap. So what am I doing? Well, the second we start closing candles below 41,360, I'm going to be looking for a retest or a flag on a smaller time frame to short into this gap and then to short, possibly all the way back down, possibly to 30,000. I'm not saying we're going there and it'll be step by step, but you have to be open-minded to believe that we could go lower. However, if we never close a candle on the weekly below 41,360, we will bounce back to the upside, and we could just be in this flag that could continue further to the upside. So it's all about 41,360 to me, and where we end up this Sunday night on the weekly close. That's going to be a really big deal. I will be live at 8 p.m. Sunday night to go over that. So that's kind of my analysis for Bitcoin on the weekly. There's other things I can give you on the small time frames, but I do that on my show and every single day. Show up tomorrow morning for the update to kind of see the inclusiveness of those smaller time frames. But this is something you really want to look at, those key areas for Bitcoin 41,360. If you do have to look at the 4-hour time frame, you want to look at some smaller time frames. You want to see specifically if you can bounce, go sideways, and you got to break this trend line. And there's a point of control here on the 4-hour at 42,650 that you must get back above as well. Total market cap for Bitcoin and all the altcoins included with Ethereum and everything else in it. I like to kind of do it fresh. Remember, we were bullish on it, but there were some key areas that we had to get back above. Remember, we came right to this area. We had resistance at about 1.66. We have support here at about 1.45, and we have that one support there too as well, and then where we bounced off of, you can say. Yes. So here's the deal. Like, we don't want to break 1.49, right? You break 1.49 trillion, you're going to 1.27. So far, the weekly is overbought. It's getting extended. A little bit of bearish div on like the 5-day. It's slightly on the weekly, but it's not perfect, but it is slightly there on the weekly. You think the RSI would have to reset. For me, it's all about the moving averages yet again. Do they have to come back down to the 21? What's cool is we could get 5-6 week just slow move to the downside, make a beautiful flag, touch the 21, get that bullish cross, which is a golden cross you can see there on the 50 crossing the 200, and then just continue to the upside. We got to get above this high volume node. But to me, there's a strong support at 1.45. And if we lose that, fine. Then we're going to short the market back down. So that's going to be a key area we're going to watch, $1.45 trillion. If we stay there, we go sideways. The measured move takes us to 2.1. We break through the $2 trillion level. It's back to business as usual. So to me, it looks like the market is going to get some sell-off. Bitcoin to sell off into some coins, back and forth. You know, lucky chance is that we end up making like a more, ascending triangle and break out. But to me, likely you're getting somewhat of a falling wedge here, and some type of pullback is the most likely scenario based on the overbought weekly, the daily, however, the daily, some of these smaller time frames, they're all kind of supporting the fact that we could be in this like bullish megaphone, and I keep looking at this falling wedge that could break onto the upside. So I wouldn't be surprised if this falling wedge broke up. Even then, it couldn't come down, and we could still make a move to the downside. So what am I saying? And not to confuse you, what am I seeing? Well, the daily is the 21's away from the 200. Many, many times you do get a pullback there. So I wouldn't be, it wouldn't surprise me if we start to pull back. If I look at the weekly, it tells me that we're likely going to pull back, touch the 21, somewhere near 1.4648, right? So I'd be looking for this to slowly pull back. The smaller time frames could make a flag and break us above resistance. At that point, I would change my tune and look for a long back up to 2.12. But right now, the probabilities are that we're going to slowly slump, maybe 4 to 3 weeks. Could be even a little longer, 1, 2, 3. Maybe it might even be smaller. And come back to this 21-day moving average before we get our bigger move to the upside. So it could be about a 5 to 6, maybe even an 8-week pullback or kind of sideways price action until we get our bigger surge. Total 3 is all the altcoins excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. See, it doesn't have either of those. This is good to see. And, a little less sell pressure there because not as many people dived in like they dived into Bitcoin. Some people were more afraid to get into the alts. What I'm looking for is this weekly to collapse, same idea, have the 21 come up and possibly make a falling wedge. The bullish scenario, to me, it looks like a pullback sideways no matter what. The bullish scenario is we just go more sideways than to the downside. But the distance from price to the 21 suggests that we do go more further to the downside. So, and I'd pull a fib from this wick here and up to that wick, and it does say there's your 618,442. Looks like the altcoins may also be getting a little bit of a pullback if Bitcoin gets that move back down to $38,000. Bitcoin dominance, let's take a look here. It's been doing a lot of interesting things, made a giant double bottom, right? Bounced off the 39%. Came back to this resistance where it bounced there before and has made a bit of a, falling wedge. And then now it's kind of sitting in this previous resistance. It's like on this line, or it's in a zone, right, in a way. So what is happening for Bitcoin dominance? Well, the weekly suggests that it could go higher, which usually means one of two things. It means people are going to sell off into Bitcoin or it's going to pump. Tether dominance would give us some insight if we can look at the weekly. If Tether dominance wants to pump, right, and Bitcoin dominance wants to pump, which both look like they could move up on the weekly, what it usually means is you're going to get a sell-off in the whole market. People are going to sell out of Bitcoin and they're going to sell out of altcoins into Tether. Tether's going to get a move up and Bitcoin dominance is going to move up. So Bitcoin dominance moves up when Bitcoin really rips and some of the altcoins don't, and then people run into Bitcoin, and that's when the market rips, and then what happens is Tether dominance pulls back. So I look at the daily for this, and you can see right now, Bitcoin dominance does want to pump to the upside. And on the daily for US Tether, it kind of wants to move further to the downside. So the weekly suggests that we could get an overall bigger pullback. But right now, on the smaller time frame, like the daily, you want to see this be a bear trap. You want to see us break back inside this pattern, go sideways, and you want to see the Tether dominance collapse. If that happens, that's Bitcoin dominance breaking back to the upside. That's also going to make Bitcoin pump, all right? It's going to break through this area. You're going to see Bitcoin gain momentum. It's going to get back above its 200 SMA on the 4-hour, and then we can see Bitcoin getting back up to these area highs on the VRVP at about 48,000. So key things to watch is the Tether dominance and Bitcoin dominance. I'd love to see Tether dominance break back below 576, 575, start to go sideways, and then kind of build the story that it's going to break further to the downside and get to that 3.3% area. So Bitcoin dominance and Tether dominance look interesting on the daily. We'll watch them. On the weekly, we need one of them to kind of roll over a little worse than the other. Let's take a look here. Like we need this to kind of roll over and spend some more time to the downside, which could very much happen. If we look at the TA, even the weekly is in a bear flag. If I remove this stuff and we look at it really clearly, even the weekly itself right now is sitting in a horrible bear flag, a continuation pattern to the downside. So I'm going to go with that daily time frame, which suggests that Bitcoin dominance is going to move up and Tether dominance is going to move down. So if we look at the daily and the 2-day chart, right now, I mean, Tether dominance is really in a bear flag that's about to dump to the downside. I skipped into Tether dominance because you want to look at these together in juxtaposition, right? So weekly looks good, and then let's go to that 2-day chart too as well and see if we see a bullish move. So this is a good sign. The 2-day chart suggests that we're about to get a pump to the upside in Bitcoin dominance and a dump in Tether dominance. So it tells us that if you have guts, it's time to load up in Bitcoins and altcoins. And even though it doesn't look good, it's saying that there's going to be a pump. So today, tomorrow, the next few days, I'm loading up. I'll keep some cash on the sidelines in case I'm wrong and we bearish retest. But this is starting to show you that, boom, Bitcoin dominance up and then Tether dominance down on the 2-day chart. That's a really good sign if we want to see continuation in the cryptocurrency space. We also want to juxtapose the dollar index. If you're with me last time, right, let's take a look on the day here. You can even see our last weekly candle. But on the daily or the 4-hour, I was drawing this flag, remember? And it was, today is the 19th. So on the 12th, we were doing, and we were basically drawing this pennant when I was last live for the monthly, right? For the weekly analysis right there. And I was saying, watch DXY. It looks like it could be breaking to the upside the length of the pole. I said, we don't want to see this get above. We want to see this roll over and come back in. But it did break out. And then it made another flag. So right now the DXY is showing signs of a continuation to the upside. Now DXY can pump with Bitcoin. They don't always have to be inversely correlated, but for the most part, you would like to see that. One great thing about it is we're very overbought on the DXY while we're very oversold on Bitcoin, suggesting that we will get a dump on the DXY and a pump for BTC. So let's watch the smaller time frames. We want to see this here. I'll get rid of this for a second. I'll show you what I'm thinking about creatively. We do have to watch this flag. You don't want to see this flag break back above 103. But you're making a bit of a rising wedge here. So you could break back up its side, come back down, and then you want to see the rising wedge break to the downside. So you want to see price action do something like this, bearish retest, and then you want to break back down. This looks probable. Now, if we get up here and then we break this and we start to move up, then it changes the story for everything. So we watch the DXY. But if you look at that daily, it suggests that you are going to come down and come down pretty hard. And you're in a rising wedge, and previous support is resistance. Let's see if we can stay below 103.64 for the dollar index. And that would be, beautiful for Bitcoin, right? Remember, they're not 100% correlated, but most of the time, if you get a dump here, it's going to be good for Bitcoin's cause. Not every single time, though, but the majority of the time. So we're watching this 1 hour flag. We want to see it just go kind of more sideways and break down. We do not want to see this break on up to the upside for the DXY. NQ, I called a reversal on it, right? So we're likely going to get a bounce. Remember right here on this falling wedge, that was on like the 5th or the 6th of January. We go back 1 month to the 12th, another one, 7 days is the 5th. Yeah, on the 5th, when I did my weekly analysis, I drew this, and I talked about this likely breaking out of the falling wedge back to the upside. A lot of people were bearish. I said they're going to continue to print money, look for the move. Then we saw this flag. I saw that flag too that continued. And when I was on the analysis last time, it must have been the 12th, we were just drawing this flag. And we were talking, hey, we're low on the stochastics. NQ looks like it's going to make a big move to the upside on the 4 hour. And it did that. So shout out to anyone that jumped into the NQ. I called the reversal here out of the cup and handle. If you remember, and I like this because I've been calling this, like some people make macro analysis or they give you like a big call, but they don't stick with it. Like I made this call October of 2022. I made this call October of 2023 right there. I found hidden bullish divergence on the 3-day chart, which told me that we were going to continue to the upside. Swing up to swing up, swing down to swing down on the 3-day. That's hidden bullish. It told me that the NQ had bottomed right there and we were going to continue. I also knew they were going to continue to print money and that the Federal Reserve had no idea what they were doing. All this made complete sense to me. And so and all the politicians that keep vote for deficit spending, they have no clue how the economy really works. They don't understand what the Federal Reserve really is. You could explain it to them 10 times over. They don't get it. So I knew they were all fool. And because they were fool, I knew that I could take advantage of them because I pay attention to the charts and I do due diligence. And I probably work way harder than most of them and stay more focused. So because of that, I was able to see that the NQ was likely going to continue to pump. Congress is going to continue to print money. All they do is vote for deficit spending. They have no idea how to keep a fiscal balance sheet. So yeah, or how to keep the balance sheet, responsibly in fiscal setting. So anyway, so I do see that the 4-day chart is getting a little overbought, but it still has some movement to the upside. The 2-day and the 3-day chart are just getting started. The 3-day is just getting started for a move. I see the NQ continuing. I believe when we're back here, 6 days from now, a week from now, and we do this, we're going to be in some type of flag somewhere up in here and probably preparing for our next big move as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 candles prepare. So I see us continuing to the upside. The NQ is looking absolutely lovely. My call, since I made it there in October, is just blooming. And that's why they call me Sammy. Cup and handy, baby. SP, the same idea. We put you in the flag the last time we talked about it, right? On the 12th. On the 12th of January right there. The flag is still good. We did break out of it to the upside. There's still momentum on the 2-day chart. There's still beautiful momentum on the daily. The daily is just getting started. Look for the S&P to make a massive move to the upside. This is suggesting that the dollar is going to make that turn for the worst and make a dump. I see the next time we're up here, the S&P somewhere at 5075 on the weekly analysis. So if you're still rocking the charts, little bit of bearish div here, swing down, but you could say it kind of, we'll see what happens. There is some bearish div there. All right, I'll point that out. We have to get back above that resistance. But the Stokes say we continue to the upside and negate that bearish div and continue to pump. So interesting enough, right? 8 hours says maybe we come down. It's a little bit of bearish div in the 8 hour. We may come down and do a retest. If I was hungry and looking for this, I'd be looking for this to break back down, retest this top trend line, and boom. Retest right there would be a beautiful move off of that point of control at 4783. I'd be looking at that area for the S&P. That is your weekly macro analysis for Bitcoin, total market cap, total 3, Bitcoin dominance, Tether dominance, DXY, NQ, and the S&P. I hope you like these every single week. We're going to continue to pump them out. They are not easy for me to do. I prep them, I get ready, and I really think about everything I say to keep you guys locked in and loaded for the week ahead. And then I want to come back next Friday and see exactly, give my report card to see how we're at. And so far, I have been nailing it out the park. I've made a call, amazing call that literally has gone world renowned. I mean, the S&P did reverse from when we first talked about it here on my channel, and you could have traded any market with that knowledge. I still keep my old call here inside of the group settings, right? So I could bust it out whenever, but it's messy. But there it is. There's the cup and handle. There's the entry. There's the stop. The stop can be brought to break even now, and we are blasting to the upside just as I projected, and that's why they call me Sammy Cup and Handy. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. You can find out when I post my next video. Remember, if you came to the channel, then you're already doing the right thing. Crypto is life. Remember, I go live Monday through Friday, Saturday and Sunday nights, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., and Saturday and Sunday nights at 8 p.m. I can't wait to see you there. We'll see you at the next live stream. God bless. Have a great day. And get the education you deserve. Keep learning.